Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Today we are looking at possibly one of the most legendary and finest designed in the UK, made in the UK outdoor garments that there is. This is the Buffalo Special 6 shirt. Now there's a couple of things I need to do quickly before I start on this. The first one is just as important as everything else in here, and that is a huge shout out to the lads from Lakota Outdoors. So I made friends with them over the internet, and we talk not a lot but a reasonable amount, and yeah, one of the things that they always said is, mate, you need to get a Special 6 or the mountain shirt, and you need to make some content on that, because I mean, I'm outside of talking to them, I'd heard a lot about this, and yeah, shout out to them. This genuinely is yeah, it's an awesome shirt, and I wanted to give them a little bit of credit. So if you don't know who they are, when you finish watching this, in fact I'll even leave the links below. Lakota Outdoors lad, the guys from there, awesome ex-army guys, and just genuinely really nice people. So give them some love, give them a follow, tell them the Moorlander sent you, and yeah, definitely give them some love. The second one is, normally I would leave this to the end of the content, but I need to do this at the beginning because I want the people that have owned one of these in the comments, because I always, not always, but I regularly say to people, if you've owned one of these, let's hear in the comments how much you love this. And I know there's certain things that people will get straight in the comments, and then people that haven't owned one of these can read and they'll see. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this, but I know now that I've said that there are a lot of people going straight to the comments, and I genuinely, let's hear the love that you have and how much this jacket or how much this shirt has saved you whilst you've been out walking, whilst you're in military service, how this has kept you warm and all of that sort of stuff. Somebody commented before that they were in, where were they? They were in Eastern Europe in the 90s when all of those struggles happened there, and this shirt really helped them through how cold it was there. So yes, let's hear in the comments below if you've owned one of these in the past and how much you love these jackets. Now, I will leave a timestamp here so that you can fast forward if you want to get into the actual jacket itself, but I think it's important to add just a little bit more of the history around the Special 6 shirt, and also its predecessor, which is the mountain shirt. Now, here in the UK, so where I am in the Kingdom of the Moorlands, I'm at the bottom of the Pennines, and kind of just the start, the southern entrance to where am I? What's it called? The Peak District. Oh, I'm shockingly bad memory. So it's the gateway into that. The Pennines are the ridge of mountains that are the spine of England, and eventually kind of get up into Scotland. And then the Peak District is a large area of natural beauty. In fact, it's the oldest national park here in England. So it makes sense that around there's a huge community of people that are just outdoors people like myself that just want to get out into the green and enjoy the environment. So just kind of northeast from me, over the Pennines and over in the Peak District, is the city of Sheffield, the Steel City here in England. So Buffalo Systems are a company that started 30 however many years ago in Sheffield. They're still there today, and they still make all of their items here in the UK with stuff that, as much as possible, that they can source from here. So when you're buying this, you're genuinely buying something that was designed for, in the winter, some of the harshest conditions that you can get here. Now, fast forward or kind of move down to the southwest, if you're out in the Brecons, this is just as good out in the Brecons in South Wales, or maybe you're up in the Highlands of Scotland. Really what I'm saying here is this is designed purposely for shockingly bad British conditions, whether that's snow, whether that's cold, whether that's, and let's face it, a lot of rain. This is exactly what this is designed for. Now, from right in saying the original jacket was actually, or the original shirt was the field shirt, was the mountain shirt. And then the Special 6 shirt followed that very quickly. Now I say predecessor and successor. It's not as though one is kind of better or, you know, one is the newer version. It's just that there was a slight change that they made to the Special 6 jacket, Special 6 shirt over the mountain shirt, which we will kind of cover. It's a small detail, but to some it was enough that they needed to have two different versions of the same jacket. So if you're concerned, or if you're wondering whether you should go for the mountain shirt or whether you should go for the Special 6 shirt, we will cover that as part of this. But yeah, as far as backing British made quality goods, this really is that top tier for me as far as kind of British manufacturing and just making amazing products. Now, as far as where this has been used, I got into, or at least my first kind of instance of seeing people wearing these around the Peak District was Mountain Rescue. I think for a long time they either supplied directly to Mountain Rescue, because you'd always see them, you'd have the Mountain Rescue badge and then you'd see the Buffalo logo and stuff, and they'd always be in the red colour that you'd see them in. But they've gone through so many different kind of organisations, even down to, as I mentioned, when you're talking about British military servicemen and women, the vast majority of them will have saved up and they'll have got themselves a Buffalo mountain shirt or a Buffalo Special 6 shirt. Because if you're going somewhere and you need a piece of kit that you can rely on, this generally is that piece of kit that you can 100% rely on, which I've found over the last 12 months while I've been kind of testing this out. Now, as far as testing this out is concerned, so I bought this kind of this time last year. Last winter was very busy here at Moorlander EDC and I just never got around to making this content. But what it meant was that I've been able to test this through the winter, through the autumn, not so much the summer, which we will talk about, and definitely the autumn as we've gone through and we're now coming into the winter. I've tested this in hail, in rain. I even went out and I lost the footage, but I can show you the drone footage now. So here I am at the top of Hen Cloud, which I walked up to, and I'd got a t-shirt and I got a flannel shirt underneath this, and that's all that I needed. While I was doing all of this drone footage, I think it was about -4, -5 degrees C. I just got this on. It's all that I needed. It gave me all the thermal insulation that I needed, literally to stand there for 20 minutes and just kind of, you know, film some drone footage. So I've done quite a lot with this, more testing on this than I've probably done on any other piece of outdoor equipment. Getting back to the Lakota Outdoor lads, they have as well, so check out their Instagram, check out their Facebook, and you'll see exactly, because they've put these through a lot more than I have, and you'll see the kind of extremes that you can go to with something like this. Now, to get into the actual jacket itself, because I've probably waffled a little bit way too much there, but it's very easy to do when you're talking about kind of garments like this. It's just a shame it wasn't made in the Kingdom of the Moorlands. It's the English that made it, and you're like, oh, we could have made this, and better probably. Anyway, so yes, so talking about the jacket itself, colours wise, I think there are 3 or 4 different colours. You can get them mainly in, so this is the green version, there is a black version, I think there's a blue version, I think there's also a red version, but the red is different from the Mountain Rescue kind of red. Theirs is a very vibrant red, and the other one's more of kind of a maroony kind of red. I'm not too sure about. I'm sure there's at least 3 or 4 different colours. As far as the sizing is concerned, the sizing is very important with this. One of the things that Buffalo Systems say, and they're very kind of specific, and it is definitely important when you're looking at these, is there's no small, medium, large, extra large. It goes on chest size. Now last year when I picked this up, I picked it up in the 48. I have lost a little bit of weight this summer, so my chest now at the moment is around about 46. Putting this on, it does feel baggier than it did this time last year. I don't think it's too big though, so I'm actually I'm glad with that. I think if I'd have got like the 50 and I'd now gone down to 46, I'd feel that it was baggy and I would lose some of the insulation that you kind of get from this. They do say specifically that this should be worn as close to the skin as possible. Now that doesn't mean you're supposed to go out naked underneath here, but the closer that you can get it, or the kind of, it doesn't need to be baggy. If you want it to be a little bit baggier, then go for the size up. But the best advice that I can definitely give is if you've got a Cotswolds camping, or there you go, I've just lost all of the, I can't remember all of it. Anyway, if you know that there's a bricks and mortar store that you can go into and you can try one of these on, definitely try one on. Or if you're a 46-inch chest, buy the 46-inch chest. But I'd always recommend probably trying one of these on beforehand. If you're close to Sheffield, if you're driving past Sheffield, then you can go in and you can check and they'll give you some advice on what's probably the best size for you. Now, because I got this in the 48 and I've kind of dropped down to 46, it does mean that I can put an extra layer on underneath here if I need to, but with how warm this does keep you, then you don't really need that kind of in the grand scheme of things. Now, as far as materials are concerned, there are two, again, god tier materials on this. The outer material, this is Pertex Quantum, and then on the inside, the pile on this is an Aquatherm pile. Now, I need to talk about both of these individually because it's the marriage of these two materials that works so well with this. Now, as far as the outer material is concerned, it's Pertex is a nylon material, but it's not just any nylon material. They've certainly worked some witchcraft with this. I've had a few Pertex jackets in the past, and they have been some of my favourite and most worn jackets. Pertex, the way in which the nylon is created and the way in which this all just kind of works, it just adds. Trying to think how to describe it. It just adds so much to it. So you can go out in the rain with this. The rain will just wash off. Eventually it will kind of get wet through, but it doesn't get wet through. It just stops water from getting into you. If it does eventually get through, you then have the Aquatherm pile. Now the Aquatherm pile on this. So when it comes to you, so I've had the hood less time. I've had the hood now for about 4 months. So it comes in. It's very fluffy. It's like a teddy bear kind of shag fluffy. But after you've had it for some while, it starts to kind of like knit together, and it just kind of gets a little bit age to it. But it's designed specifically that even if you're wet, it will still keep you very warm. So when you take into account that you've got the Pertex on the outside and the Aquatherm on the inside, no matter what, you're always going to be pretty much dry and you're still going to be warm. And this is the strange witchcraft that it's done, and it's a strange witchcraft that Buffalo Systems have been able to work, marrying these two materials together, that has given this god tier kind of outdoor piece of equipment. Because pretty much any situation you're going to be in, you're going to be lovely and dry and lovely and warm. One of the downsides, unfortunately, is though it gets put away for the summer because it's just too hot to wear. I wish I could wear this 12 months a year, but you just simply can't wear this in the summer. I mean, you can't wear certain winter jackets in the summer, but putting this on in the summer is fun because you'll put it on, you'll go, oh, that's warm, and you'll take it off straight away. But I guess if it was a cold summery day and it's very kind of wet, then yeah, you can put this on and you might be fine, but it is just a shame that I can't wear this all year round. Now there are two, as I mentioned, so there are actually two items here. You have the actual Special 6 shirt itself, and then you have the DP hood. I would definitely recommend, if you're going to pick one of these up, straight away make sure you pick up the hood, which we'll cover in a second. Now, one of the things I touched on earlier is the difference between the mountain shirt and the Special 6 shirt. So the mountain shirt, the length on it, or at least the length on the Special 6 shirt, has an extra 50mm on the bottom. And that's really the difference. So the mountain shirt is made with Pertex Quantum. On the inside you've got the Aquatherm, the pockets, all the other things are exactly the same. But because there were people out there that just needed it to be that extra little bit longer, then they added the extra length to that. And instead of having two different, or at least instead of just amalgamating that into one, they decided to have the mountain shirt, which was the original, and then the Special 6. But it's just that extra little bit longer. So if you're worried about the big differences between the two, there aren't real big differences. They're pretty much the same jacket. One's just longer, one's the original length, and the Special 6 is just that extra little bit longer. Now, getting into this, so with the DP hood, now what I will say with the DP hood is that this, especially the reasons why I say you should purchase this. When you get it originally, so it has just, and I'm just going to undo these for a second. So the collar on this is a nice high collar. It is a quarter zip front, which you can zip up. Let's get out of the way of my facial pubes. And it keeps your neck nice and warm. So the collar comes up just around about my jawbone, comes back to kind of maybe an inch or two up my neck. Adding the hood to this just adds that extra little bit more. It brings it up behind the back of your head, it covers your ears a little bit more, and it stops some of the wind from going in. Now the collar does an already very good job of stopping wind from getting in, but with adding the hood to this, whilst it's not on your head, because obviously you can put it on your head, but whilst you have the hood on this, it does a very good job again from just stopping that wind from coming in. Now when it is on, the hood is, and in fact I'm going to take my hat off for this because I know I will be hot, the hood does an awesome job. So on the hood itself, it connects all the way around here with Velcro. So you can do up the collar, which has some Velcro that comes across. You then put the hood on and then put the hood round there like that. And this totally covers your head, and it will track your head as well. There isn't any tie downs on this. If there was anything that I would change about this, would just be a toggle on the back so that you can pull it. And the only reason, as I mentioned, for that is just so that if you're out and you need it to track your head, then it will do. But I'm genuinely picking faults with something that doesn't really have any faults. But what you also get when you get the hood is it comes with a face part here. So I'm just making sure I get the right orientation with these. So the face part, which is still the same, Pertex on the outside, and you've still got the fluffy bit on the inside. So you can have this here, pull it over like that, and it'll come up over your nose, and you can have that on your face. Hopefully you can hear me though. You can have this on your face, and there's even a little bit underneath here so your facial pubes can poke out the bottom. Just like that. But when you don't need this, keep it in your pocket here on the front, and then you can undo this and put it off behind the back of your head. Now the zip on the front, it is a YKK zip. I'm sure it's a YKK, yeah, it is a YKK zip. Opens buttery smooth, as you'd expect with YKK zips. It is a fairly traditional anorak as far as the pockets on the front are concerned. So you have a kangaroo style joey pocket here. It's a lot higher than you'll find with others. Mainly you'll find that they kind of start just in the mid of your sternum. This is way up over the top of my nipples. But in a weird way, it just makes it easier to be able to get things in and out. But also if you have a a waistband or a waist belt on your rucksack whilst you're out walking, then it just means that it's further away from there. In here it's big enough, you can put your hat in here, you can put your gloves in here, you can put a compass in here, you can put an OS map in here, everything will fit in, you won't have any issues. So when you're out and about, it is just a single zip. Again, I'm being really picky here, Buffalo Systems, if you're watching, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. All I would say is to add a double zip to this. And probably won't cost much, but I like to open mine from that side. If you had a double zip on there, that'd be ace, but again, I'm genuinely being really picky for the sake of being really picky. But that's that main pocket. And then again, as you'd expect for this kind of classic anorak style, there are waist pockets here. The waist pockets have the same pile in here, so when you put your hands in here, it's like putting your hands into the warm embrace of a cuddly polar bear that doesn't want to rip your head off and eat you. But yeah, you put your hands into here and they are super warm, and it is a complete pass-through as well. If it is that you are out and you've got a rucksack on, then you can put your rucksack on, and your waist belt can come through here and can come through this hand warmer section, again, so you can just kind of keep that away from you. But what it does also mean is that if your waist belt has gone through here, then you can still put your gloves, you can put your hat in here, and still take advantage of the hand warmer section, because the hand warmer section is on the outside, it's here. So you put your hands in over your backpack belt and your hands will stay warm. On the underside is just the regular back of what the Aquatherm material is. So it's a little bit tougher, and one of the things I would say is when you put your hands in here, this just feels a bit weird because you've got this nice pile on the outside, but it makes sense because if you are passing the waist belt for your rucksack through here, then that's a harder kind of firmer material for that to wear against. The other thing that you have in here as well is, which I always fiddle with, whenever I've got this on, I'm constantly fiddling with this, is that you have a waist adjustment in here. So if it is that you're like me, I've lost a couple of inches over the summer and I just want this to be that extra little bit more tight, then this buckle, I can just use the slider. So there's some webbing in here, like the webbing that you've got on like a sternum strap or your shoulder straps. So what I can do is I can tighten this webbing so that it's now closer to my stomach, and if I'm concerned about wind blowing up or snow from getting up here, it doesn't have like a snow skirt like you get with a traditional snow skirt, but this works in exactly the same way. So you can just pull that a little bit closer to you, or whilst you're out probably sit there fiddling with it and people are like, why are you fiddling with that? But yeah, so that's in the pocket. Now coming down to the hem itself is just kind of a normal hem, so there's no sort of bungee on here so that you can tighten this, which makes sense mainly because you do have, which you get with a lot of these kind of outdoor anoraks, you have these zips on the side. So to be able to get into here, for donning and doffing, if I just take this off for a second, it certainly makes it easier to be able to take it off. And sometimes you'll take it off without undoing the zips and you're like, oh, that's a bugger to put back on again. So if you undo the zips, it's very easy to take off. Now while I have this off, because I know certain people like to know this, as far as and again I've butchered folding this up, it does kind of fold up and roll away reasonably small. So if you're concerned about the amount of room that it takes up in your backpack when it's in there, it doesn't take up a lot of room considering how much warmth this thing brings you. But again, just putting it back on over the head, a bit of a wobble, and then you've got your zips on the side. Now there are two zips on here. One zip will come and it will close it off, but then there is a second zip. So if maybe you've got a fleece, or if you've got something that you need to be able to get into the pockets, then you can open these. And plus also, because if you're out walking and you have generated quite a lot of heat with this, then you can undo these side zips to help to regulate some of that heat, and it does a very good job of that. I was out walking with my brother a few months back. It was a very wet day, but it was also quite a cold day, and I just got too much on. But instead of taking off the layer that was underneath here, all I did was open these side zips, and it meant that it let in enough air for me just to be able to regulate my temperature, and yeah, it did perfectly. Now on the side, to help with that, you do have, so there's some loops here, and then you also have some hook and loops and Velcro here on the side. So what you can do is, rather than it going all the way down, then you can kind of zip it down just to where that hook and loop is, and again, you know, it's just an easy way to be able to manage that. Or if it is that you've gone the other way and you've opened it from the bottom and still want to have that closed like so, then you can do. Or again, there's this other part. Now what you can do with this is, if you bring this round to where this hook and loop is, it's just another way of being able to close that. So when you this loop here is maybe an inch or so shorter than it would be if you just had the Velcro there. So again, it's just another way that if you wanted to close this a little bit more around your stomach to stop things from getting up here, then you can just cinch that in a little bit more with these straps on the side. Let me pick up my hat. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this two things. One, I've got to give some love to the Lakota Outdoor guys. They are awesome and you really should check them out. And two, please let's hear in the comments. I know how much this shirt is loved. Hopefully this has helped, especially if you're concerned about whether you should go for the mountain shirt or whether you should go for the Special 6. They're practically the same shirt, it's just the difference between how low this front goes. One of the things I forgot to mention is, so between the front and the front is ever so slightly higher, or I suppose you could say the back has a dropped back. There is a 10 centimeter drop between where the front is and where the back is to make sure that it covers your bum. Whereas with the mountain shirt, that's the regular one, which will sit maybe here, and then the Special 6 is ever so slightly short. But yeah, hopefully that'll help. Definitely give some love to the Lakota Outdoors. Let's hear in the comments below how much you love this shirt, and I think that's probably enough waffling for me today. This genuinely is the best outdoors garment for the winter, the beginning of spring and autumn that I've ever tested. I genuinely love this, and I want to have a look at some more of Buffalo's other shirts and jackets as well, because yeah, genuinely awesome. If you're going to pick one up, definitely pick one up, and definitely pick yourself up one of the hoods that go with these as well. They're awesome, and it definitely adds to it. It takes it from a solid 10, ramps it up to an 11, just adding one of these on there, whether you're using the hood or you just have it for that extra kind of protection against your neck. Yeah, Buffalo Systems from Sheffield, who'd have thought? Because yeah, they're just awesome. Cool. Now, of course, I will leave some links below so that you can see more from Buffalo Systems. You can see more from the other shirts, the other jackets and gilets and stuff that they do. I'll leave some of my social media links below so that you can see more from me here on Moorlander EDC and my sister channel, Moorlander Tactical. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. Hi, I'm the Moorlander, and this, let's just make sure again. Filmed quite a bit today and still not checked it. That was a stupid thing I should have done before. And 30 years ago, and then you have that sun's really bright. That's going to annoy me. I'm gonna have to start this again.